The movie begins with a group of researchers observing a polar bear. The bear, along with a raven, is seen feeding on something buried beneath the ice. The leader of the group, Professor David, then asks one of his assistants, Edward, to tranquilize the bear for research purposes. Although the bear almost attacks, Edward's dart finally succeeds in bringing the animal down. But at that very moment, William is shocked when he realizes what the bear had actually been eating. To their disbelief, they find the frozen remains of a perfectly preserved mammoth, buried for tens of thousands of years beneath the melting ice. The scene then shifts to a university, where after watching a video presentation by the famous ecologist Professor David about the impact of global warming, Adam, Fetty, and an Asian student named Ling are chosen as the lucky students to take part in a field study at Professor David's research station in the Arctic. Meanwhile, in another place, Professor David's daughter, Evelyn, receives a call from her father. David tells her that he has discovered the perfectly preserved remains of a mammoth and asks her to come to his research station. At first, Evelyn refuses, since her relationship with her father is strained, especially because he never showed up at her mother's funeral. But the moment David mentions that he will hand over her mother's entire inheritance, Evelyn suddenly shows interest.
I have to go. I'll think about it.
Right after the call ends, David is shocked when he is informed that the polar bear they brought back to the research station has suddenly died, without any clear cause. 2 days later, David is seen deep in thought, staring at the frozen mammoth he had found. At the same time, Jane rushes in to tell him that William has been struck by a strange illness, and his condition is rapidly getting worse. Jane insists that David cancel the students' field trip and call for medical assistance to initiate an immediate quarantine. At the helicopter base, Evelyn finally agrees to join the trip to the research station, together with the 3 chosen students from the university. Deep down, however, her decision seems driven by the temptation of inheriting her mother's fortune. On their way, all the students, including Evelyn, can't help but feel disheartened as they witness the massive melting of Arctic ice, believed to be caused by global warming. Before long, they arrive at the research station. The place feels eerily quiet, leaving them puzzled. Since the heaters aren't working, Bart takes the initiative to look for the power generator.
I'm gonna go look around.
Out in the freezing air, Fetty, who happens to be Ling's ex-boyfriend, tries to apologize and express his regret for breaking up with her just a month earlier. He even tries to charm her, saying, "There's no other woman as delightful as you." Though Ling is still upset, it's clear she still longs for Fetty's affection, even if she tries to hide it behind her shyness. Meanwhile, in another room, Evelyn and Adam are suddenly hit by the stench of something rotting inside the lab. And the moment the electricity comes back on,
What the hell is that?
they are both shocked to see the decaying corpse of the polar bear.
Hello?
When Bart walks in, astonished by the sight, he immediately asks Adam to take his picture standing next to the animal.
Oh!
Bart suddenly jerks in pain as something bites his hand. Thinking it's nothing more than a small parasite, the group decides to leave the room, unable to bear the overwhelming stench. Shifting to a nearby tent, located close to the mammoth's remains, more victims begin to fall from the strange disease. Jane, whose condition is rapidly worsening, grows desperate. When Evelyn radios in to say she has arrived at the research station, Jane panics and urges her to leave the place immediately. But David, upon hearing his daughter has arrived, gives a different order. He tells Evelyn to stay where she is and not to do anything. Confused, Jane presses David for an explanation. Yet David reveals nothing to her. Instead, he quietly tells Edward that everything is going according to plan, and now it's time to execute Jane. Unbeknownst to them, Jane overhears the conversation. Without hesitation, she pulls out a gun and shoots both David and Edward. Night soon falls. As Adam and Evelyn prepare to sleep, they are startled by faint moaning sounds coming through the ventilation pipes. But after listening more carefully, they realize it's Fetty and Ling making love in the next room. However, just as Fetty reaches the moment of climax, he suddenly panics when he sees a strange insect crawling beneath Ling's body. Terrified, Fetty bolts out of the room, leaving Ling behind.
I'm not gonna go sleep out there.
The next morning, Evelyn sees Jane arriving on a quad bike and immediately rushes outside.
Hello?
At the same time, Bart wakes up, noticing that the bite on his hand is causing extreme itching.
Ow, stop screaming.
Evelyn panics when she finds Jane unconscious and screams for help. As Adam and Bart rush to assist her, Fetty is startled by Ling's scream. Ling has realized that her beautiful body is now covered in strange welts. After moving Jane into a room, Fetty informs them that Ling is experiencing the same mysterious itching all over her body. Sensing that something is seriously wrong, and frustrated that Evelyn hasn't received any updates from her father's research tent, they decide to investigate, taking a helicopter with Bart and Adam to find out what is really happening. They are shocked to discover that the helicopter's electrical system has been sabotaged, suspected to be the work of Jane. In the midst of the chaos, Ling informs them that Jane's condition is rapidly deteriorating. As she nears death, Jane firmly warns everyone not to leave the area, especially not to go to the city, to prevent the disease from spreading. Shortly after, Jane meets a tragic end. With Jane gone, Evelyn grows even more determined to uncover the truth at the research station. To find answers, she sets out with Adam on a quad bike, while Fetty asks Bart to repair the helicopter so they can all leave as soon as possible. What the hell? Bart panics as he notices that the bite on his hand has now turned into a festering sore. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Adam, having arrived at the research tent, are awestruck to discover the perfectly preserved mammoth carcass, just as David had described. But Evelyn soon becomes puzzled by the numerous strange eggs inside the carcass. As she searches for her father, she is both shocked and saddened to find Edward's corpse along with a grave she initially believes to be her father's. Back at the research station, Fetty seems to be paying the price for his past actions. His urine now contains blood and pus. Angered, he accuses Ling of frequently changing partners after their breakup. But seeing Ling's suffering, he quickly apologizes and realizes that all of this may be caused by some kind of infection.
David Krupin's research center.
When Evelyn returns to the research station and sees Ling's condition worsening, she grows suspicious and tries to confirm what really happened to Jane.
What is it?
Oh my god, did you see that?
Upon examining Jane's body, they finally uncover the horrifying truth. The infection is caused by a type of ancient parasite, a tick from the mammoth carcass David had discovered. To prevent further spread, they rush to quarantine by moving Jane's remains into the lab. Upon arriving at the lab, Evelyn and Adam are shocked to discover the sheer number of ancient tick eggs inside the polar bear carcass. Amid their panic, Fetty announces that the rescue team will soon arrive. But instead of feeling relieved, Evelyn grows increasingly worried. If they leave, the ancient ticks could spread the infection worldwide, laying eggs in every victim they bite. Hearing this, Bart panics as he feels movement on his hand. Fetty, who has secretly been infected, insists on waiting for the evacuation team. But Evelyn, realizing the danger of spreading the infection, rushes to stop the pickup.
No, hey, where are you going?
After thwarting Evelyn's plan, Fetty orders everyone to stay silent, warning that they could be shot if they don't comply. In the midst of this tension, Ling suddenly appears, asking when help will arrive. Seeing Ling's worsening condition, they try to calm her and tell her to rest. But when Evelyn examines her more closely, she discovers that Ling's abdomen is already filled with tick eggs. Reluctantly, Ling must be quarantined in the room. After that, Adam calls his friends over to see something.
What do you think it is?
Holy crap! They instantly shudder in horror as the eggs inside Jane's body begin to hatch. Witnessing this, Bart, determined not to meet the same fate, plans to take drastic action on his own hand.
They're not gonna be here for a while. I can just kinda get...
Seeing the ticks already embedded in his hand, Bart tries to prevent them from spreading. He grabs a knife and urges Adam and Evelyn to perform an amputation. Though hesitant, Evelyn and Adam have no choice but to comply.
We have to be more prepared.
During the preparations, Fetty, worried, goes into shock as he discovers blood coming from his genitals. Once the setup is complete, Adam rushes to act before the eggs in Bart's hand have a chance to hatch.
Adam, hurry!
Once the hand is severed, Evelyn immediately orders Adam to destroy the hatching ticks on the detached hand. While they try to stop the bleeding, Evelyn, searching for bandages in the first aid kit, accidentally finds a note from David. It explains that the ticks use their victims' bodies as hosts for their eggs to develop and multiply. It turns out that David had known about all of this all along and had kept it a secret. While Adam continues reading, Evelyn discovers a tape that David had recorded just yesterday. Remembering the camera that Jane had brought, Evelyn has no choice but to retrieve it to find out what's on the tape. Unfortunately, the camera is inside Jane's jacket, along with her corpse. This is horrifying. Jane's body has been completely devoured by the ticks. After Evelyn manages to retrieve the camera, a few ticks land on her, but fortunately, Adam kills them before they can infest her.
Put it under my shirt! Go on!
At the same time, a terrified Fetty insists that Evelyn remove her clothing to make sure no ticks remain on her body.
She's clean. I had to be sure.
Soon after, they begin playing the video documentation recorded by Professor David. But before they can watch for long, Fetty panics as a tick emerges from the lab. This is terrifying. The three of them are instantly shocked as thousands of ticks begin hatching from the polar bear carcass. The situation grows even more intense as Ling screams, begging Fetty to open the door, since the vicious ticks are entering her room through the ventilation system. Meanwhile, Evelyn sees Bart's condition and feels helpless. Despite his amputated hand, tick eggs have already spread into his flesh. I can't believe this. Fetty, driven by desperation, shoots Ling, claiming she had begged him to end her suffering. Realizing that he himself has no chance of survival, and feeling pity for the dying Ling, Bart resigns himself. He enters the room to administer a morphine injection to her, instructing Adam and Evelyn to leave immediately. Before leaving the research station, Evelyn wants to make sure everyone is free of ticks. But Fetty, who has already been bitten, refuses vehemently, even threatening to kill Adam and Evelyn if they reveal to the evacuation crew that his genitals have been infested with parasitic ticks.
That means I'm gonna die with these fucking bugs in my dick!
Just in time, Professor David, who had survived all along, eliminates Fetty to save his daughter. Evelyn, now preparing to burn down the research station to destroy all the ticks, asks her father to wait a moment. But as Evelyn gets ready to set the station ablaze, curiosity gets the better of her. She decides to continue playing the video that had been paused earlier.
Today I rediscovered.
This is shocking. In the footage, David reveals the true purpose of his research. After discovering the ancient ticks, he intends to bring them into human civilization, hoping that those who have long ignored the effects of global warming will finally understand its horrifying consequences. Not only does it destabilize the climate, but it also has the potential to revive dangerous prehistoric creatures frozen in ice. David even plans a radical move, voluntarily becoming a host for the ancient ticks to spread them to humanity. Upon learning this, Evelyn tries to persuade her father to abandon his plan. After all, this method would make countless innocent people victims. But David is unmoved, believing it is the only way to make humanity aware. Moments later, he rushes off upon hearing the helicopter from the evacuation team.
That's Dr. Cooper. He looks hurry.
The rescue team asks if anyone else has survived, but David replies that they must leave immediately, as everyone inside the research station has already been contaminated by the dangerous parasites. After Adam falls from the helicopter while trying to stop David from escaping, Evelyn immediately grabs a rifle and shoots at the helicopter to prevent her father from fleeing. Luckily, Evelyn successfully thwarts her father's escape and destroys the research station, which had been intended from the start to exterminate all the ticks. As she rushes to Adam, who is now gravely injured, he urges her to warn the world about this danger so that proper measures can be taken. After Adam's death, Evelyn takes her father's research notes and hides inside Bart's helicopter, waiting for help to arrive.
Marty! Come on, let's get her out of there!
Sometime later, the film shows a man returning home after fishing in a swamp. When he calls his dog, who has just been eating something, it turns out the dog had been gnawing on the raven from the beginning of the film, which had fed on the mammoth carcass. The raven's flesh is teeming with ancient ticks, and unfortunately, the dog heads back with its owner to the big city. In the final shot, the camera lingers on a woman's forehead, where a single ancient tick is crawling, hinting that the nightmare is far from over. So, friends, quite an intense story, wasn't it? At its core, this film depicts one of the terrifying consequences of global warming. Dangerous prehistoric creatures that may have been lying dormant in the ice could awaken as polar ice melts. But the big question remains, is all of this real, or just a theory? One thing is certain, nature holds secrets far more terrifying than we can imagine. Stay tuned, and see you in the next film story.